Back to your daily dose. My name is Robert. This is my cousin Nicole, licensed family marriage therapist, and we're talking about the Shawshank hero's journey in a larger scale cinema therapy as a program within Yes and Exercise. And we left our last episode talking about the idea of a preferred narrative. I really like the way you phrased that. And I want to open this up to a discussion and see where this lands with you about people's awareness in your experience, or maybe what you know of the research, that A, they have a narrative, and B, they have a choice in that narrative.
I don't think it's common. I don't think it's as typical that people, understand that. The majority of the people that come to me, that's like a completely new way of thinking, is even thinking of sort of the chatter in our brain as sort of this, as redeveloping the relationship with that, such that you can either choose to entertain certain stories or thoughts or choose to decline them, and then have agency over, maybe I would prefer to believe this, or this is a story that is going to serve me in terms of the life I want to live. So yeah, I think it's,
Yeah, that's fantastic. So there's a unifying force of stories, and we accept them for their entertainment value in this day and age massively, right? I mean, they're everywhere in every form. And also, even the ones we're not aware of, we're being marketed to in
yeah,
probably an even bigger form than the ones we choose to engage in of stories, right? I mean, and you can look at, what they used to call Madison Avenue, but anywhere advertising comes from in terms of the narratives people are being told, or the pharmaceutical world too. And I'm not trying to demonize anybody. I'm just saying the way people, well, for lack of better terms, they weaponize narrative,
yeah,
right? To be
yeah.
told you're less than, you're this, you're that.
Right.
And
Mhm.
if you don't have, as you said, the consciousness and agency to either say, I accept or decline, I like the way you put that, you can pretty much start packing baggage on your shoulders that can get overwhelming fast and go, I guess that's just me, or I
Yeah.
guess that's the way it is. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, go ahead. That's a danger.
Yeah, that's a real danger. And that, one thing I often tell people is our brain that sort of sends all these thoughts and narratives is not a truth teller. And the more that we can start to have a little oxygen between ourselves and what our brain says, the more we can understand that it is a problem solving machine. And a lot of these beliefs and whatnot come from many different places, like the places you're naming, or like, at one point that thought or narrative was useful and it no longer is, whatever it is. But when we can start to say, oh, it's not a truth teller, so I need to have some distance so that I can make some choice around whether what it's telling me is silly or not aligned with my values or leading me to these outcomes that I don't like, or are these things that I want to entertain because it makes sense on the journey I want to have, right, in my life.
Spectacular. And this concept again of the concept of the space between yourself and your brain,
Yeah.
right? Instead of just defaulting to my brain says and therefore, as if there were nothing else. Where some people might go with that, maybe there's a psychological term that helps with understanding, is what am I if I'm not my brain? Or who am I if I'm not my brain?
Um, that is a great question. I mean, I am what I value.
There's
I
that word value. Dig into value for me a little bit because I love what you
am,
said.
value is it's like what we embody, right? It's where we find meaning. It's
Mm-hmm.
what lights us up, right? I spend a lot of time values. I spend a lot of time with values. It's a big part of how I work. It's a big part of what I think about on a personal level. And so, our brain is a supportive problem solving machine that helps us, right? But the better our relationship is to it and what it says, the more we can sort of anchor in our values, or what is meaningful, or kind of who we want to be in the life we want to have. Yeah.
So stories can serve the practical purpose of developing the relationship between our self, aka values, and our brain. Right, the story can be that
Yeah.
transport system. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think
that
so.
makes sense. That makes sense. Let's jump into more in a little bit. That's a great way to cap this one for a minute. Good job. See you on the next dose.